Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Friday, the 4th of December, 2020. You know, the markets today, the Dow's up, the markets are up, but they're all controlled. They're all controlled. The gold price is going along sideways today. And cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and the others, they've taken a little drop off. But that's to be expected because they're moving up too fast. Nothing goes up in a straight line. But, there's not a whole lot happening out there today. Except, there's a new monolith. Those three-sided monoliths that are made out of, I don't know whether steel or what they're made out of exactly. One guy walked up to one, he put a magnet on the side of it. And the magnet didn't stick. Okay. But there's not a whole lot going on. But you know what's big, really big out there? Is there's a large group of people out there that know that we're being herded or something. They know there's something wrong, definitely wrong with the system. And they can't put their finger on exactly what it is, but they don't trust. They don't trust anymore. There's a large group of people and a growing group of people. And they're searching for what it is. Some of them are trying to read conspiracies and whatever. They just don't know exactly what it is. Well, I'm here to tell you what the big problem is. It's math. This is the big problem. The central banks have created a mathematical problem that can only end in disaster. The way the debt-based system is structured, and I don't know if it was done intentionally or if it was just they structured, it was at Jekyll Island that they really structured this system. And the way it's structured is a mathematical formula that leads to more and more debt until the end. Basically, it's a Ponzi scheme, and all Ponzi schemes end the same way. I'll tell you the first time I came across Ponzi scheme. I'll tell you guys a little story. It was when I was just a young guy down in Florida, I had trust in the system because I was just a young guy, and, I was only I think I was 13 or 14 years old, something like that. I wasn't very old. And they had this Ponzi scheme going down there, and I didn't know it was a Ponzi scheme. I thought it was for real. It was fishing worms, you use your bait to go fishing. They were offering people contracts, and basically they'd put these worms in what they called a bin. The bins were you could make the bin yourself, made out of wood, and put earth inside it. And then you'd feed these worms compost or whatever you could find, restaurant scraps or whatever, table scraps or whatever. And the worms would multiply. Every 2 weeks, I think they'd double the amount, And so what they'd do is they'd sell you a contract that said, we'll buy all the worms you can produce, and we're going to use them to sell in the fishing industry. We're going to use them for landfills. We're going to use them for this. We're going to use them for that. And we got a market for them. So we'll buy all you can produce if you buy this contract off of us. And we'll give you the kit to start you. It'll be so many pounds of worms. Big bag full of worms. And you just go and you build these boxes. Or we'll sell you the kit to build the boxes. And you can make all kinds of money because we'll buy them all back from you on the contract. And sure enough, they were true to their word. The first people that bought the contracts, they'd sell them the kit for $1,000, which was a lot of money back then. It'd be $10,000 now. And then they'd buy them for $3 a pound, all you could produce. I can't remember exactly what it was, $3 or $5 a pound or whatever, And so it looked like they had a market for them and everything. They made it look like it was a real legitimate business and everything. And this was a real legitimate way to make money. And, of course, the first people that came in and sold all their earthworms from their kits, they'd tell all their friends, hey, I'm making money hand over fist. I've made 5 times the money it cost me originally already, and they're still buying them, and I'm growing my business. And so other businesses sprung up. These got people that had bought the kits and everything. And it all looked legit, and it would really grow fast because everybody would say, hey, this is the new greatest thing. We're going to make all this money off of earthworms. And there'd be excitement, money pouring in, money starting to pour into the original guy. But once he got to a certain point where he couldn't use all these worms that's coming in, like he's using them to make the kits, the new kits. Like he'd take 20 pounds of the worms that he bought off of these people, put them into the new kit, and after a while, there was more people selling back in than there were buying new kits. He'd split and leave town with the money. This was a scam, see? It was a Ponzi scheme. It could only go to a certain point where there was more worms coming in than they could buy. They knew exactly when to split and leave town with all the money. This is the same deal with they've set it up in 1914, but it's so big. It's such a big Ponzi scheme. It's a worldwide Ponzi scheme with money. It's a money game. And math. This is the problem out there. Math says it has to come to an end. It's on what's called an exponential. And now what's happened is it's going straight up. They can't print enough. They're like the guy, he couldn't buy enough worms. This is where it's going. And what to do? There's only one way out. Let the system crash. In other words, don't keep printing. Let the Ponzi scheme crash, but the whole system's going to crash. Or keep printing. And if they keep printing at this point, they're going to start to head toward inflation. There's no other way around it. And this inflation's going to go faster and faster, and people are going to start losing trust and faith in the currency because they know it's in a Ponzi scheme. And this is the big elephant that's in the room that is what people are seeing, is this problem with our money itself. And for people out there who think, oh, there's bigger problems than that, they don't understand the financial system. They don't understand what a problem it can create if there's a problem with the money itself worldwide. This is an enormous problem. This is an enormous elephant in the room that can't be ignored. And yes, they can probably kick the can a little bit longer. I don't know exactly when faith is lost. In the United States dollar is the big one. It's the one that underpins everything. I don't know exactly at what point the faith is going to be lost in the United States dollar. And if the dollar goes down, all the rest of the whole thing goes down. Because back in 1971, when they took the dollar off of the gold standard, that's when this really began, this Ponzi scheme in earnest. And, they've lost like 98% of the value of the purchasing power already. At what point do people lose confidence in it and start to spend it as fast as they can get a hold of it, basically? And, Bitcoin's taking advantage of all this, but so's gold and silver. But for investors out there, it's easier for them to allocate. You see, you have to allocate. In order to really own something, you have to allocate it. Now, it's the same way with gold and silver. For you guys out there who are stackers of gold and silver, you know that you don't want those paper short contracts because you haven't really allocated the real physical item. You want the real physical item, but you sit there and you wait. Right now, if you go out and buy silver, you're sitting there and you're waiting for days are going by. I don't know how long. Quite a long period of time is going to go by before you're going to get that in your hot little hand. You're going to be sitting there and you're going to be waiting for the UPS man or whatever, to come to your door and bring that little package. Whatever, a few coins or whatever, but you're waiting, and it takes a long time to allocate it. But think if you're a big funds manager or whatever, Bitcoin is allocated when you get the private keys. Now, which is going to take longer, if you to allocate real physical metal, to actually own it, or to get the private keys in your wallet for Bitcoin? They can do that rather quickly, to buy Bitcoin and get the private key and have it sent to their wallet. That can all be done rather quickly over the internet. So in these kind of times, Bitcoin has a few advantages, but all of it's going to catch a bid, because if the dollar goes down, not just gold, silver, but Bitcoin, all of it, anything that's divested from the US dollar is going to go on the up elevator, while all the rest goes on the down elevator. And I can't tell you how this is going to crash at a certain point. I can tell you it's coming, because math says that this has to happen. There's no way out. It's the math. But the thing about the math is, I'm not one of these computers that they have, the supercomputer. I'm not a supercomputer that can crunch the numbers and tell you exactly when and how long that they can kick the can down the road on this thing. I have to try to estimate it, and I'm thinking to myself, probably another year or two at the most, That's what I'm thinking in my mind, But who knows? Maybe they can kick it for another 5 years. I don't know how long they can kick this, but I do know one thing. Your dollar's going to buy less and less and less and less and less as things progress into this thing deeper and deeper. And you're going to be spending your money faster and faster, and your wages are not going to keep up. And people are going to get more and more upset as this Ponzi scheme concludes. And this Ponzi scheme is what's tearing us apart. It's not all these other things you're looking for. It's this fiat money Ponzi scheme that's right under your nose, and people can't believe it, but that's it. That's the thing that you should be looking at, that is tearing the system apart. And it's going to end one of two ways. Either they're going to give up, throw their hands up in the air and say, hey, we can't keep this going any longer, and they're going to be like the earthworm guy, and they're going to take off and split and leave us all holding the bag with no money. Basically, if they did that, the whole system would implode and stop. In fact, you probably wouldn't know if they did do that, if they were to just let this thing implode on itself by not supporting it, and the market started to crash. That's what the trigger would be for an implosion. Is it would start with a market crash, and then they wouldn't offer any support. They'd be like the guy running with the earthworm money, running away, And what would happen is everything would crash in a matter of days, maybe even hours, because computer trading now. All the banks would go down, everything would just stop. And you wouldn't know what happened if that were to happen. You wouldn't know what happened. You'd be in your suburban home or wherever, someplace, and the lights would just go out. And the internet would go down. And you'd be like, what happened? You wouldn't know, you might not ever know. Find out what exactly happened. Because all media channels would be down. And that would be a horrendous situation, because the world will descend into chaos if they let it collapse. But if they keep it running by feeding it, they're going to have to feed it more and more and more all the time to keep it going. And if it goes that way, well, it'll extend out longer, but it's going to end with the dollar losing purchasing power very, very, and in the end, faster and faster and faster. In the end, it's going to be the sort of thing where yesterday you bought an apple, and it cost you like $100, and today it's $200, and then it's going to accelerate even faster after that. And people are going to try to spend their money as fast as they get it, because the price is going to go up daily. It's hyperinflation. But it's a worldwide hyperinflation. And you see, normally in a hyperinflation, what they do is they always turn to a currency that's maintaining its value. Most times, the US dollar. And they use that instead of their own currency in whatever country they're in, if there's a hyperinflation, because generally it's localized. One of the big ones was the German hyperinflation in the Weimar Republic, but, it was just in Germany it was hyperinflating. But this time it'll be the whole earth. Everybody's hyperinflating, so what do you turn to as something of value? Well, they're going to turn to gold, silver, and cryptos, while all the other fiat currencies burn. And, I find it very interesting, the fact that this was already shown to us back in the magazine cover of The Economist magazine way back in the 80s. It's almost like they must have known ahead of time that this was and they must have crunched the numbers or something. Something's up with that. What's up with that? Because back in the 1980s, we never saw this. I know I didn't know anything about it back then. And most of these other guys on here on doing these shows and telling you guys about this, they never knew about it back then. And this is a more recent thing, that magazine cover. I don't think I knew about it until something like 2014 or something like that. So all those years, I didn't know about it. They did the magazine cover, and they put it away, and it was from the 80s, and all during the 90s I didn't know about it. All during the early 2000s I didn't know about it. But they knew about it way back then. Anyway, listen, guys. Thank you for listening to my show. I'm going to do a show this weekend, probably, I don't know, a Saturday or Sunday, and then there's my other channel. If you guys haven't subscribed to it, just type in on the Google, not Google, but on the YouTube search engine, type in the Delta Report, and you can find me over there. I just did a very interesting show on what perhaps is down beneath our feet that we don't know about. Just like I didn't know about the Economist magazine cover. All those years, I didn't know about it. What's down beneath our feet that we don't know about? Under the ground. What's down there? And I did a theoretical show on what could be down there. And, conclusions that what I'm thinking possibly is down there. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys in the very next show. Bye-bye.